How Elon Musk lost $200 billion. Elon Musk, the Twitter CEO and chief executive officer of Tesla, or even the SpaceX founder, never fails to surprise us with new milestones and records, each more ubiquitous than the previous one. This man, being at the forefront of innovation and a visionary of new generations' technology, is constantly in the headlights for glandulous updates and spectacular landmarks, yet again managing to capture the world's attention as the first person ever in history to rise to the pinnacle, then blob, lose all his assets in a blink of an eye within a time span of a little over a year. During the surge of the coronavirus, although the automobile industry took a huge blow, Tesla reached an ultimate milestone in the face of an expanding recession in the world economy. The overwhelming amount of inflation surprisingly inflamed Tesla's stock prices to an all-time high, breaching the $1 trillion threshold within just a year's span in October 2021. How cool does that sound? Well, investors simply put their entire focus on the futurist tech revolution, and Tesla, being the dominant fish in the electric car industry, seemed to round up the largest take of pie, putting Tesla's market value for the first time in history just on the benchmark of that of Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, or even Alphabet. Tesla's attested stockpiling simply increased Elon's overall net worth overnight at the beginning of 2021, and has been a kickstart for Elon to break the $200 billion milestone record of Jeff Bezos, making him the second person in history to go beyond that chart. His wealth escalated at an unimaginably high rate, reaching $340 billion. Even though there were news headlines about the multi-enterprise owner's tremendous success, it will lead him to be the first ever person to reach the insane record of trillionaire by the end of 2024 or even in early 2025. Imagine that his individual wealth at this point is beyond the reach of or even comparable to that of mid-income countries across the world. Fast forward, his sweet and savory fortune, unfortunately, did not come with a long lifespan. Tesla immediately took a daring step to halt car production entirely amidst the COVID resurgence in Shanghai. The investors, who took a step further to accelerate the electric vehicle industry, had to face losses for the cut in production and started looking for available alternatives to invest in. This became a nightmare for the once dominant Tesla, which saw its value downgraded to the point of jeopardy. Tesla's market share dropped from a whopping 79.4% in 2020 to 68.2% in 2021. By far, 2022 still remains the worst year for Tesla in terms of losing its overvalue at a concerning rate of 65%. The degrading session seems to be ongoing well into 2025, when the market will be plunged into only an estimated 20% decline in value. Other automobile industries like Ford, Chevrolet, and S&P Global Mobility grasped this vacant opportunity almost instantly, and they got a hopping rise in stock purchases, ready to overtake Tesla's authority in the electric vehicle industry. Musk's significant percentage of net worth comes from Tesla, with him being the owner of 40% of its total worth. With investors losing interest in electric vehicles, as prediction suggests, record-breaking inflation topping it off with an increasing tax rate will simply move people's interest away from EVs. At worst, the high and rising prices are set to transform EVs into luxury items instead of everyday necessities. Apart from these, Mark's recent Twitter distractions, making headlines every day with the legal takeover surrounding spats and so many follow-up layoffs, have initiated mixed reactions from both consumers and investors' viewpoints. While Tesla's stats went in a downtrodden direction, Musk had to have the busiest schedule with the dramatic acquisition of Twitter. Musk's rather calculated steps became a bit sloppy. In this case, he proceeded to sell up a significant portion of Tesla stock for a smooth transition of ownership. Just for the prompting purchase of Twitter, last year ahead on, Musk spent 44 billion grands. Much of it came from the sale of Tesla stock. His recklessly haphazard behaviors and multiple controversies, like firing employees out of thin air, not paying salaries on time, or even deducting everyday commodities to cut the cost of the company's revenue, have led to reports of employees bringing toilet paper into the office in the face of this artificial crisis, or even banning the journalists who cover his updates. Many people attribute this to Musk's diverting attention to the Twitter acquisition and not paying enough attention to the company's dismal performance in the stock market. Meanwhile, this 51-year-old businessman now holds 3 records, being the second billionaire to cross the boundary of $200 billion, being the first person ever to hold $347 billion worth of net worth. The previous records did not even come close to such astounding numbers, and also being the first ever to dwindle upon his assets and lose them all up in a smoke. Musk's net worth continuously plummeted from the apex of $340 billion in 2020 to an insane loss of $129 billion in 2021 and $116 billion in 2022, while popping $245 billion within only 2 years of the previous peak. According to the latest statistics published by Boomerang Wealth Index, Musk now holds about 42.2% of SpaceX and a net worth of only $137 billion, less than half of what he proclaimed in 2020. Musk's company, Tesla, had to offer a bit of a discount on the Model Y and Model 3 at about $7,500, shortly after the index was published. With all these downsides from everywhere, how do you think Musk is coping with such losses? Well, he seems not the slightest bit concerned, at least on the surface in public eyes. Who knows how he is planning for a groundbreaking comeback with something extraordinary. We are yet to see any exciting updates except for Musk recognizing that he is simply getting preoccupied with Twitter's maintenance. Fast forward, he put out a poll for people to vote on whether he should remain in the CEO position himself or just find a replacement. It seems he planned to take his decisions based on the majority's preference this time. Most people voted for him to step down from this Twitter drama for a complete diversion of his attention toward Tesla and SpaceX. Musk is rather welcoming to public opinion. Let's see what unfolds in the upcoming days. However, in his recent tweet, another significant factor erupted that Musk considered to be the greatest contributing factor to Tesla's loss. The federal government printed fiat currency out of thin air without adding any value to it, so counterfeiters could use it. This caused an increasing debt crisis inside the country. To replace this uneven discrepancy, the government employed more taxes on investors and business tycoons. The tax rate at present is at an all-time high and will continue to rise exponentially every year. Musk accused the federal government's decision of being a major discouraging factor for the investors' disinterest. Now is the time of havoc, as people's purchasing power is tremendously decreasing in association with overwhelming debt and inflation. Elon is not at all bothered by the current losses, but rather extremely concerned about the upcoming crisis. Being the richest person in the world won't affect you due to the soaring rates of inflation, right? But what about the majority of the masses? Even though Elon Musk's wealth slumped in a downward direction, he still has an extraordinary fortune of $137 billion left. But how are you going to cope with the depletion? Until then, have a good time. Please subscribe and put the bell icon to get more updates about hot topics like these, and let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. See you in the next video. Goodbye.